We are inches away from the L Word Generation Q Season 3 starting to film, and today we're going to do a quick roundup of everything we know so far about Season 3. So let's get right into it. Okay. There are timestamps down below, as this video has been requested by a lot of people to just have all the information in one place. So if you want to skip over any sections, the timestamps are in the description box. But we're going to start off with the basics. The show is coming back for a third season this year in 2022. It's going to consist of 10 episodes and will most likely be looking at a premiere in November, December. Last year, the November premieres were Dexter and Yellow Jackets, and it would be a pretty cool thing to pair up the L Word Generation Q and Yellow Jackets. The only thing that makes me apprehensive about this is the fact that Yellow Jackets doesn't start filming till July 5th. And their filming is a little bit more intensive than the L Word because, you know, the show, half of the show is set in winter in Canada. It takes a lot doing the two timelines. So we may get the L Word Generation Q with another show, and then halfway through the season they may do what they did last season with Gen Q and flip the air date, because I definitely think we're gonna have the streaming episodes, you know, on a Thursday night at midnight or Friday morning, whatever you want to say, and the episodes to then air the following Sunday or Monday, because the L Word just does bigger numbers with streaming. So it makes sense to do that sort of thing again, and it does generate a little bit more buzz because people obviously are excited about getting the show a little bit early. Showtime generally doesn't premiere anything after the second week in December, and just looking how the dates fall, and I would think the last possible date for airing would be December 11th. They may push it out a couple of days, but I would expect the show before then, and most likely the season 3 premiere will happen the end of November, beginning of December. As filming happens, we'll be able to get a little bit more of an idea, and hopefully they let us know not too far into the future. So last week, the cast, writers, everybody sat down with Showtime and did the table reads for episodes 1 and 2. And with these table reads, they're still on Zoom. Who knows if they'll change it by the end of the season when they're doing, you know, the table reads for episodes 9, 10. They might be able to get back in person, which I think it would be so much more fun having it in person again. And it's great to have it on Zoom and stuff like that, and that they can still, you know, go forward with making the show. But that extra magic will be in the table reads where you're all sitting around in person and, you know, going through the episodes. So usually when you get to the table read, you have the main script done. And after the table read, especially because it's with the Showtime executives, they will usually say, oh, could you change this scene? Could you change this line? I don't like this, take out that, maybe put in an extra thing here. And they go through a series of drafts of the script. So by the time you actually get to filming, you may be on the second, third draft. And what they do is they generally change the color of the paper so that everybody is literally on the same page, and that everybody has kind of got the revisions, and that they know if a line's been changed or dropped or something like that. So they will be working on the scripts for episodes 3 and 4, and they will be finishing kind of the first half of the season scripts before everyone gets back to filming, which will be next month. And everybody has different start dates for filming, different first days, but everybody should be back on set by the middle of June. So while they are working on the first half of the season scripts, they will have the entire season storyboarded out. So this generally is the big storylines for the season, what each character is going through, and the fate of what's happening with all of our cliffhangers. So there will be general ideas of what direction all of the characters are going in, the couples are going in, and where they're going to end up by the end of the season. And hopefully they're navigating that while they're writing all the scripts for the season. So this week in the new episode of Pants, Kate and Leisha talked about having lots of scenes together, and I saw a lot of people talking about this taking place in episode 1 or 2 because that's what they obviously have the table read for. And also a lot of people were saying, oh, well, this must mean that there's a big time skip because at the end of season 2, we saw Alice going off on her book tour. So if Alice is back spending time with Shane, that means that we don't pick up right where we left off with season 2. And I do think that this does carry like some weight. I do think that this is most likely the direction they're going in. But I will say that Kate and Leisha, as executive producers, they will most likely have seen the entire storyboard for maybe not necessarily what's happening with every single character, although they definitely would be in their rights to. They would be more specifically dialed into what their characters are going through throughout the season, because they will definitely be having a hand in that, and they're pretty invested in what's going on. I mentioned this in my live this week, but when Chris, Jess, and I got to interview Andrew Ralston, who was on episode 8 of season 2, and he played Alice's publicist, we asked him how involved it seemed that Jennifer, Kate, and Leisha were, and he was saying they seemed very involved. They were offering alternative lines and really talking out how the scene was going, what it would be like for their characters, and they seemed really invested in what was happening because he was obviously in a scene that the 3 OGs were in, and it was quite an emotional one. So it was really interesting listening to him talk about his time on set, because he ended up being on set for a lot longer and over multiple days because of COVID issues. So if you haven't listened to that interview, make sure to check out Drinks at Dana's, the podcast that Chris and Jess and I do. And we've also talked to Sandra Valdi, who's the L-Word cinematographer, and of course you can check out my interview with the showrunner Marja Lewis Ryan on my channel as well. So back to what I was saying about the time skip, all of that considered that Kate and Leisha, will be very aware of what their characters are going to go through over the next season. I do think there's going to be a time skip because the L Word generally does have a time skip, and I also don't think that they will pick up directly afterwards because it's just generally not how Showtime does their shows. It totally could happen. It could be a possibility. They could break this mold because it was such a big deal and people are so invested.
Tina was to show up at your doorstep right now, and she says, I'm in love with you and I want to try again. What do you say?
Oh my God, what would you say?
A few moments later.
What are you doing here? Can I come in?
And also a lot of people have said, oh, if there's a time skip, maybe we'll get a flashback to what happened. And I myself have said that, like I was thinking if there was a time skip, maybe we would get flashbacks for all of the cliffhangers, like what happened with Alice and Tom, what happened when Finley went into rehab, and everything that we were kind of left open-ended at the end of the season. But unfortunately, the L Word doesn't really utilize flashbacks. I don't know why, because I think that the couple that they've done, like in the OG, where everybody flashed back to their first loves and like Bet and Tina meeting, everybody loves that episode. And I think flashbacks would go down really, really well. Of course, I'm talking about flashbacks of main characters, not those little things in the original season 3 where we saw people in the past, but Bet got a little flashback there. We learned a little bit more about her, and I would love to see some flashbacks, even just in general, not just to the season 2 cliffhanger, but anything's possible. But I'm just following the usual L Word what happens. So the final thing to quickly wrap up is casting, and pretty much all we know is that, of course, Laurel Holloman is back as Tina.
Tina! I really think Jennifer will always be able to trump me on that, but I gave it a shot.
For how many episodes, it's not clear yet, but as I've maintained, I do not think there's any way on this earth that they would have done that cliffhanger or been allowed to do that cliffhanger if Laurel Holloman was not signed on for season 3. She's probably signed on for a similar amount of episodes because she signed a deal back at the end of 2020. It was literally like the week before she went on the Pants podcast. And that, I'm assuming, encompassed season 3 and who knows, even further seasons. So Laurel Holloman will definitely be back, I think, for about the same amount of episodes. Jamie Clayton is also going to be back. I wonder if they'll bump her up to series regular. I would think so, because if her and Shane are still together, it would make sense. And also, we know that Rosie O'Donnell is coming back. She confirmed this on TikTok the week before last, and we don't know in what capacity she's going to be back either. Will it be for one episode to wrap things up? Will it be for one episode to wrap things up, but then she's going to be in a number of episodes as just a character and not attached to Tina? I guess that all depends on the fallout from the season 2 cliffhanger. And I do have a bit more info on the Rosie coming back, and I'll link that video in the cards above and the description box down below if you're interested in hearing a little bit more. We are so close to filming of the L Word Generation Q season 3 starting next month in June, and once we hit filming, we'll be getting lots of information. So make sure that you're subscribed here and follow me on social media for absolutely all the details on the L Word Generation Q season 3, and we'll keep you up to date. If you have any requests for any L Word video ideas, please leave them down in the comments, because Pride Month is coming up and I will be doing my one video every day in Pride, I hope. So make sure that you're subscribed for that too. And as always, make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.